This is the undisputed original king of rap from Harlem. He's an ordained minister. He's an MC, b-boy, DJ, graph artist, producer, singer, actor, director, and editor. Can you tell us what's going on lately?
Well, I'm still working hard, and health is the main issue here. You know, as long as we can breathe air, my motto is as long as we breathe in, we still have a shot. So I'm always working. I'm connected with the Universal Hip Hop Museum, which is a project we're trying to develop for the Bronx, an actual virtual museum, a real brick and mortar and virtual museum for the Bronx. And I'm connected with Africa Bambaataa and Ice-T and Grandmaster Melly Mel and Flash and LL Cool J and all of these great people who are there are about 50 people connected with the project, and we are making big strides. So if anyone wants to know more about that project, go to uhhm.org, the Universal Hip Hop Museum. Yeah, so I'm working on that. I'm also recording a couple of projects. I have this big play I tour with every year, November and December, for the holidays, and it's another rendition of the Nutcracker, and it's called the Hip Hop Nutcracker, and it's a most incredible play. You know, of course, Tchaikovsky's classic music is incredible, and we're breakdancing to it. It's a play that has a lot of breakdancing and a DJ and a violinist that go back and forth, and I'm the host. I come out in the beginning and get everyone ready and pumped up for the play and take them back to the old school. And we actually, I come back out the end as well, and I sing the breaks with the cast, and we all do solos and break dance. And it's a lot of energy, a lot of fire in that play. I love it. And we toured last year about 25 shows, and we're looking to do about 35 this year, 40 shows. November, December.
Okay,
so look out for it. The Hip Hop Nutcracker.
Okay, now this has been international. You've done this all around the world so far?
Yes. We've been to Moscow, but mostly all around America. We played many places, Atlanta and Miami, Virginia, over in Wisconsin, and New York, of course, Jersey, Baltimore, Philly.
I'm in New Jersey, so yeah.
We'll be at NJPAC in December, sometime in December. I don't know the date yet, but
I understand you started around the age of 13. Is that correct?
Yes, I started way back then, about 1972 or 3 or so, just as a dancer in the neighborhood. We didn't call it breakdancing or b-boying back then until like, I guess 75, 76. But, just dancing around the neighborhood, and I was the family DJ, and lover of music. You know, my mom loved music. She listened to the Motown sound, and of course Sam Cooke and Jackie Wilson, Wilson Pickett, people like that. But I came across this guy, James Brown, and he struck me as an incredible artist, and just his dancing skills were amazing to me. So I went on a quest. And a mission to become James Brown by way of Jimmy Castor. Jimmy Castor was another hero of mine. I studied his music, and I found out he actually lived in Harlem up near me, and he went to the High School of Music and Arts, which was the same high school I actually, attended. So between those guys studying my heroes and just being around my mom and being her DJ and playing the music and stuff like that, I got hooked into the whole, music was like escapism for me from all the problems that I had in the family. My stepdad was a real mean guy, and so all the problems growing up in the ghetto in Harlem, the drug wars in the 70s with Frank Lucas and all of that stuff, and then we had the gangs that were coming out, the movie Warriors. I lived in that stuff, man. It was like you couldn't go to the store for your mom to get milk for fear that the gangs are going to get you, So it was very difficult and sort of kind of hard to grow up. So music was my outlet. Music was my escape from all of the problems that we were faced growing up as teenagers in the 70s in New York City. So it led to, from education and my academics and music and just a love of dancing, I became this hip hopper. Eventually, when we got older and I got the chance to go into clubs and check out the DJs who were rocking, I sort of got Pete DJ Jones and Kool Herc and Grandmaster Flash, people like that, and they all were incredible DJs, and I had to be in that set, in that in that world the whole life, and that's how I got started.
Did you have a mentor that kind of helped you grow and got you started on the first step?
Well, it was more a thing. I based my whole philosophy of life around Bruce Lee, because he was like one of my heroes. Enter the Dragon came out in 1972, and a lot of the gangs, we fought karate. Everyone knew karate during that time because Bruce was like a hero in the black community, which is like a surprising sort of, but we loved him. And so in studying Bruce, he was asked a question in an interview one time about his fighting style. He was asked, "What is your fighting style?" And he said, "My style is more of, I take bits and pieces from all the different forms of self-defense, and I take the best parts and I make it my own, and I created my own style." So he took the best kicks from Taekwondo and the throwing of Jiu-Jitsu and of course his own sticky hands and his style Wing Chun and Shotokan, all of that Kung Fu. He mixed all the styles together and took the best pieces of it and made it his own style. And I followed that philosophy when it comes to hip hop. So there were many DJs that I follow and MCs when you talk about rap. But the DJs that were around, of course, were Pete DJ Jones and Kool Herc. And I was tossed in between those two DJs and their styles and their playlists, the kind of music that they played. So when I evolved into a rapper, I studied the great rappers that were around during that time, and there was a guy named DJ Hollywood he was known for his golden voice, and he was an incredible talent. He could sing. He was more like a radio DJ, but he had a lot of flavor and a lot of crowd response. He was a master of the crowd response, and that's one of the things that I was inspired by him. There's another guy by the name of Grandmaster Melly Mel. You may know him from the song The Message.
Oh, yes.
Now, Mel is the rapper's rapper who can rap nonstop for 2 hours straight. And, that's one of the things that I was inspired by him. The third person was a DJ and MC named Lovebug Starsky. He was famous for coining the phrase hip-hop. He was my best friend during that time. And his main thing, he was versatile. He was a DJ and an MC at the same time. And that's very, very, very difficult to do. And he was the best at it. He mastered it. So I tried my best to follow that suit like him. And like I say, he was a master. And in that category, I fall short. That's the most difficult thing to do.
You. Wow.
He was also versatile that he could play in the different markets. Like we had two different markets, the shoe people and the sneaker people, Flash calls them. So the sneaker people were younger and there was no dress code. We had the block parties and the park jams, the community centers uptown in the Bronx, the B-boys. And then you had the shoe people who were in the clubs downtown in Midtown Manhattan with the, suits and ties and silk dresses, the adults. They could get into the clubs. And so Lovebug played in both markets, and I followed that suit too, trying to break into both markets and be accepted. So that's my style, and those were my heroes that I followed suit and I was inspired and motivated by. But the music came from James Brown, Jimmy Castor. My style was right in between Jimmy Castor, James Brown, and Chic, because they were the hottest band in that time in the late 70s, right, when we started making records.
And I know you've seen a lot of changes over the years in equipment that's used to start with. Do you think there's a detraction from the quality of sound with the digital as opposed to analog?
Well, see, that's the whole thing. I'm an avid supporter of technology and adapting and adjusting and evolving with technology. Man, nowadays we live in a world of the matrix. I remember we used to have to go to the library and sit in the library 4 or 5 hours, taking out books, 4 or 5 books at a time and doing research, trying to read. But now we can just ask Siri. You go on the internet and it's there. That's true. I mean, like the Matrix, like Trinity. She can fly a helicopter. Oh, just give me a helicopter program. I mean, right now, I can do it in 48 hours. I tell you. Well, she can do it in 5 minutes, but I can do it in 48 hours. Just get me to a YouTube tutorial, and I will fly a helicopter. So it's like technology is at our fingertips, and we have no excuse in being ignorant and not adjusting to it. It's there for us. Mm-hmm. God gave us the mind. That's the most incredible thing gift that God has given us is our minds, and we need to use the power that's locked inside of us. We only use 10% of our brain. If we could just use 20%, man, I see a lot of things happening.
Yes.
Just to get back to your question, analog versus digital. At first, of course, I was an analog fan, and the first couple of years, I'm like, oh man, get me to my sound, my warm sound.
Warm,
soul,
yeah.
And it was dirty. And that was my motto. I specialize in mud. I wanted the sound to be gritty and muddy and dirty. But then digital came out and I had to adjust. I adjusted to the fidelity of digital. It's much cleaner. It's the fidelity is top notch. So it actually sounds better. If you listen to a song that came out, this year, last year, and then you listen to a song that came out in the 70s, there's a difference. There's a big difference. The fidelity is much better. You may have more soul back then because they were using real musicians like drummers and real, bass players and guitars and stuff like that. And you can't get around that feeling. You can't get around that feeling. It's just a feeling of looseness when the drummer speeds up, slows down, and everybody goes with that's what you call, soul. But, you got to take the good with the bad. Now the fidelity is much better, and you really can hear every instrument. The vocals are cleaner. Stuff sounds better. I guess I'm used to it now or conditioned to it, but I really do think it sounds better.
With all the performing that you've done over the years and all the places you've been, can you name one of the craziest things that's ever happened to you while you were out performing?
Well, Pompano Beach. I did a show there one night on a Monday night in a high school, and it was crazy. It was sold out. It was a high school gym, and they had must have been 2,000 kids in this gym. And it was a crazy, crazy show. I remember Davey DMX was my DJ, and Russell Simmons was my manager, my road manager during the time.
Okay.
And so we're there, and I'm on stage singing The Breaks. Breaks is number one record around the country. And the crowd is going crazy. So here's a guy that jumps up on the stage, and he starts dancing. So I pushed him off the stage. We didn't have any security. I pushed him off the stage. He fell in the crowd. Everybody, ooh. So he got back up. Again, the second time. So I went to push him again, and he grabbed my chains, and I went with him.
Oh, no.
So as I went, the crowd started hitting me and beating me up. He had friends out there. So
wow.
Here comes Davey DMX, my DJ. He jumped into the crowd, and the crowd splatters, and I'm go to the ground. You know, like the Three Stooges or in cartoons where there's a big crowd of people in a circle and everything, and they're fighting all in a circle, and blow, he comes out on the other side of the room.
Oh, no, my goodness.
Everybody. Then I grabbed Dave and then Russell, and we get out, and they chased us. Man, it was like a chase scene on the highway. Crazy. So that was a crazy night. It was the craziest show I've ever done. But there was some good stuff like there's another one where I did a show with Bob Marley at Madison Square Garden.
Awesome.
In 1981, and here comes this big crowd. I'm standing backstage, and here comes a big crowd of people, and they're moving slow, and they come right in front of me, and the crowd splits. It opens up, and here comes Bob Marley out of the center of the crowd, and he comes right up to me, and he lifts his hands up, and he goes to shake my hand. He shakes my hand, and he says, "Kurtis, I like your stuff."
Wow.
Oh, my God. And he went back into the crowd, in the center of the crowd closed up, and they kept moving.
Closed up like the Dead Sea.
You're right. And I was like 19 years old, and the most incredible thing for me is to hear that from Bob Marley. And that was his last show. He died around a month later, about 30 days later. Yeah.
That's incredible. It really is. I have to say that I truly, truly admire that you are, over all the years, you haven't had any cursing. You've been trying for positive messages. And I found a song that you've done for children.
Oh, yes. Say thank you? The word?
Yeah. Yes. Is that the only song you've done for children, or have you done others?
Oh, well, you know, half of my songs are for children. To keep it general, public, and safe, and family. I can sing 90% of my songs in church.
Okay.
And I do.
And I know that you built the Church of Hip Hop.
Yes. It's really amazing just to see how God has a plan for everybody's life and how awesome God is. I really think that God created hip hop just for this purpose, so we can use it to give it back to Him. It really brings
people together.
The Hip Hop Church is a great ministry for young people. You know, we live in a hip hop nation. We live in a hip hop generation. So why not take this culture, this dynamic culture, and everyone in the world, everyone around the globe is checking in to see what hip hop has to say. So what if we take this power and use it to edify God? And that's the whole mission and essence of the Hip Hop Church. Jesus Christ is at the center. We're preaching the gospels of our Lord and Savior, but we're just doing it with the hip hop twist. So again, like hip hop, there's no dress code. You can wear your sneakers and your jeans and your hats backwards. You know, we feel God is not worrying about what you have on your back. God is concerned about what is in your heart. So we have a DJ, you know, he cuts up Jesus, you know. We have a choir that sings songs that are hip and today and that are relevant today to the kids today. And we have a lot of gospel rap, of course. You know, you can see a choir and then a gospel rapper comes out and busts in the rap and then they go back to the choir. That's really, really nice flavor. That's what we call a fusion, you know, and It's incredible. So it's basically a musical ministry, a musical youth ministry designed to motivate, inspire the kids to come back to church. You know,
I have a 17-year-old daughter, and the music, every single thing that she hears out there seems to have cursing in it. Everything she listens to seems to be about sex or drugs or something like that. I know that that's gone on for centuries, but still, it does my heart that as a mother to know that you're doing what you're doing and, you know, positive messages and bringing people together. And that's just, to me, it's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, the whole sacrifice, and a lot of people don't know that, you know, because it really is a sacrifice. You know, I come from the ghetto. I knew gangsters and pimps and drug dealers and all kinds of hustlers, and I mean, I could easily make songs about that stuff. Easily. But that's something that I decided to do a long time ago coming out of college. It's all about image and what you want to do, how you can, you know, sit back 30, 40 years later and smile, you know. And that's what it's all about, you know, the sacrifice. It's a real sacrifice that I made for the culture of hip-hop. You know,
yes.
And somebody had to do it. So I have over 200 rap songs, no profanity.
Speaking to some of the youngsters just getting started in rap, do you have a message for them regarding the industry?
Yes. Education. Education is the key to success. And it will give you an advantage over everyone else, over all the competition that does not have an education. And within an education, you know, basically it's just the acquisition of information, but you have to learn how to apply that to your normal day life to, you know, achieve your goals. So, you know, do your research. It's very, very important to do research and find out about this music industry. Like I said, we live in a world of the matrix. It's easy to do research now. Find out about these in the history of the music, within the history of anything that you want to do. Study the history, whatever it is, a doctor, lawyer, scientist, whatever it is, businessman, musician, rapper, singer, dancer. It doesn't matter. If you study the history, find a couple of people that were successful within that history and study their moves they made, their accomplishments, where they went to school, what did they study, how did they do this, do that, and then you repeat those steps, you too will achieve success 99% of the time. I guarantee it. So that's my advice, education.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, and your words have meant a lot to a lot of people, and we really appreciate you, and you're welcome back anytime.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Just get in touch with me at kurtblow.com. kurtblow.com.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right.